All right, what's going on? Ruckscards here. Wanted to give a recap of my experience at the National. This was technically, it was my first. Let me get this camera straight here. Technically, this was my first um, National that I attended. I was there in Cleveland at the very end, the final day. I was out there really for Brian Dawkins' Hall of Fame swearing in ceremony and speech. So that's really the primary reason I was there that week and throughout the weekend. And the only opportunity that I had to get to the National was on that final day, Sunday. And I did leave early, and my GPS just took me some remote location far away from where I really needed to be. I don't know what the heck happened. Eventually, I figured out what the where it was supposed to be. By the time I got there, it was in the mid part of the afternoon, like 2:30, somewhere around there, and a lot of the dealers were wrapping up, and so I was there, but I really missed the majority of it. So I live in Connecticut, and so the fact that it was out in Atlantic City this year, I'm like, I got to go. So I took my vacation week this week, and I was down there from Wednesday until yesterday, which was Saturday. So I got a good 4 days in, and the big part of the experience for me was getting getting to meet a lot of the athletes that they had there. Obviously, you got to narrow them down because it costs a good amount of money to do the meet and greets, to the autographs, and most of them I had their autograph anyway. So I chose to do the photo op opportunity to be able to kind of shake their hand and get a picture with them. And the five that I chose, that I narrowed it down to, and keep in mind these were anywhere between $75 to $225, depending on the player, per photo opportunity. So like Joe Montana, for example, was one I got. He was $225. All right, and it was great to meet Joe Montana. I'm almost 50 years old, so Montana was obviously one of the greatest quarterbacks ever to play, and I got to watch most of his career. And so to meet Joe Montana was just huge. Plus, on a personal side, not that this means anything to Joe, but it was always cool to me, is I share the same birthday as Joe Montana, June 11th, and we also share the same birthday as Vince Lombardi. So I always thought it was kind of cool to share my birthday with one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, one of the greatest head coaches of all time in NFL history. And I did mention that to Joe, and he said he did not know about Vince Lombardi having the same birthday, and then he flattered me by saying, "I didn't know about yours either." So thanks, Joe. Appreciate that. Anyway, that was kind of funny. But anyway, Montana was a great guy, very personable. Because I've heard some, there's a guy that I kind of was just talking to the day before, and he was telling me that his experience with Montana, he was kind of a jerk. And so I kind of had my hopes down, but I could tell you the exact opposite. I think Joe was great. So sometimes you hear stories like that. You never know if you catch the guy on a bad day or whatever. It's who knows. But all I can tell you is that my experience with Joe Montana, he was very friendly, very personable, and not everybody was like that. I'll get to that in a moment. So the other four that I got were Bo Jackson, the greatest athlete in probably the last 50 to 75 years, maybe longer. Anyone who has not seen Bo Jackson or doesn't know about him, if you happen to be younger out there, I urge you to check out punch him in YouTube and look at highlights of Bo Jackson, and you'll see exactly why he is. He unfortunately, injury robbed him of what could have been an all-time epic career in both football, especially, and baseball. He ended up getting injuring his hip on a running play down the sideline, and he ended up with a degenerative nerve damage, and that was basically it, definitely for his football career. And he kind of hung on a little bit playing baseball as a DH, but it really robbed all of us, not only Bo Jackson, but really robbed all of us as a fan, and just sport in general, of watching one of the greatest athletes ever. So anyway, not to get too deep into that. I know you guys are tuning in to see what I picked up, so I'll get to that. But Bo Jackson was the other one. Trying to think who else. Bo Jackson, and then 2 Eagles. Randall Cunningham was one of the other ones I definitely had to meet. Obviously growing up in the, watching Cunningham's entire career as an Eagles fan, just I had to meet Randall, and he was great too. Dave Winfield was my childhood idol growing up. I played baseball for 10 years. It's probably the best sport that I was good at, as far as I was being really good at. I started from my sophomore year on in high school and varsity, and I made the All-Star team pretty much every year I played. Not that I was destined for, to be a major leaguer, but I wasn't that good. But I always wore number 31, and Winfield was my favorite player growing up. So he was one of the ones that I circled quickly to meet, and he's the one that I have to sour on a little bit, only because, again, I'm not going to beat up Winfield. It's not like he was a jerk. He was not. He just was not personable. He just kind of was there to get his picture taken with whoever happened to pay, and that was it. He wouldn't even shake hands. I don't know if it seems to be COVID related, but he just would do a fist bump with you, and really had few words for anybody. So that was kind of disappointing, when you look up to this guy. And again, I'm not going to beat up Winfield because, the guy's 70 years old, and that's the other thing. It's like, to recognize how old these players are now, it's just kind of makes me feel old. But Dave Winfield, I'm not trying to say he was a jerk. He was not a jerk. He just was not. When you look forward to meeting an athlete that you grew up, idolizing, and to have him be kind of stoic is it's just disappointing. That's all. But it is what it is. Like I said, it's not like he was an ass or anything. He was just there to do his thing and leave. So, and then on the exact polar opposite of that was Dick Vermeil. And as an Eagle fan, and you kind of know, because when you see Dick on TV or any interview, he always seems to be such a genuinely nice guy. And I tell you, now that I've met him in person, he was awesome. And of everyone that I took pictures with, he actually he put his arm around me. He was very personable, and I probably could have talked to him, for a while, and he probably wouldn't have had an issue with it. But although the people that were, the promoters, I'm sure would have shoved me along. But he was awesome. Dick Vermeil is everything you've heard of, and I congratulated him for being in the Hall of Fame and making it to the Hall of Fame this year and all that. So anyway, I know you guys are just staring at a blank screen, so let me get into this. So let's talk about the when I did pick up at the National, because there's some interesting story here. So I'm going to go from low to high. I think I have that solid. This is sorted here, I think. So the first one I picked up, the only real bargain bin. I wanted to have more time. I waited in lines for so many of these days for the athletes, and that was one thing that really took me away from being able to do more of the, collecting and searching and all that. I did have a couple targeted cards in mind, 3 of them actually, and 2 of them I got, and a third still eluded me. Well, actually, there's some others too, but honestly, I didn't see any of them, so. Not that I was kind of focused on certain other ones. But anyway, here's as an Eagle fan again, these cards, this one was just in this guy's sort of bargain box, or technically a bargain box. He obviously looked up the card, so it told me that, it wasn't a $5 or $2 box or whatever. Not that I expected to get this one that cheap. However, I kind of did. I asked him what he was asking for it, and he said, he called up his buddy, who happened to be somewhere else at the show, and they came back with me for $10 on this. Now, I was collecting a lot of Sanders' rookie year, and I was paying anywhere between, I'd say $25 to $75, depending on whatever the rookie it was. So, I still believe in Miles Sanders. You look at this guy, he averages in his career close to 5 yards a carry. Last year, he averaged over 5.5 yards a carry. I wish the Eagles would just use him more. The guy is a very talented running back. So, long story short, this one's numbered out of 199. It's got a little bit of a jersey on it, autographed. It is a sticker. Came back, said he'll take 10 for it. I said, countered with 5, and he took it at 5. So, there we go. Next one is, again, sticking with the Eagles theme. Again, I really wasn't there looking for Eagles stuff, but I've always obviously got an eye for Eagles stuff. And so, even though I was meeting Cunningham, he doesn't sign a lot of stuff as far as anything really certified. So it's kind of hard to get a Cunningham autograph, and I do have a couple. Or I think I know I have at least one. But this one here is numbered out of only 75, right? Or 25 maybe. Is it 25? It's 25. I don't know if I can get that. You see that? Or is it 75? 25. So it's got an awesome green base. Anything that, you know, as an Eagle player that has the kind of the green either borders or whatnot on the card, whether it's like a green refractor or something like that, always enhances the card in my opinion. So again, the rarity of the card being only 25 copies of it. It's in really good shape. Guy wanted 100 for it. I was about to walk away when he said 100. I didn't even counter off him. I just kind of started to walk away from the table, and the dealer said, you know, what do you think is fair for it? What do you think's fair price? And I said 75. I was looking around maybe the 75 range, and then he said, I'll do 80 for it. And so we did settle at $80 for this card. So, so there we go. Made the purchase. That was my most expensive pickup. And then this one. This was one that I'm looking to flip. If there's one card out of everything that I have here that I'm not going into my PC, it'd be this one. So I have a feeling that this card by November of this year might be 2x or potentially even 3x what I just paid for this one. Dealer was not willing to really negotiate much on it because I think he recognizes the same thing, and he said he just recently sold a couple of these copies just prior to me getting there, or maybe just one copy, can't remember, but he had a recent sale just before I kind of got those table. It's a Gem Mint 10 copy of Pete Alonso's Bowman's First rookie card, and he had 75 on it, and I offered I think 40. I mean, I was kind of lowballing, I guess lowballing a little bit, but I didn't expect him to accept 40, but I thought we'd kind of meet at 50 or so. He would not move past 65 on this card. So after giving it some more thought, doing some more analysis, again, thinking that the Mets might make a run this year, and I think if they do make a run, I'm sure this guy's going to be a big part of it, and I would imagine that his cards would climb. So this one will not be going into my PC. I will be looking to turn this around, hopefully in the fall if the Mets are making a run. I think Alonso will get hot in the hobby, and this card, like I said, I expect to see quick up arrows on. So we'll see what happens. But either way, it's a nice Gem Mint 10 of his rookie card. So next up, I did actually shave this ticket off. So he had it listed. The dealer had this listed at $250. Now I know I paid at or above market for this card. I'm a huge fan of Julio. I started jumping on him last year. I didn't have his Bowman's First yet. I kind of was late to the party on that. I was buying more of his Sapphires and his Bowman's Best Autographs versus really chasing this card, which is really what I should have been doing, and buying him as many copies as I could on it. So I was late to the party on that. But I figured if I was going to get one at the National, I want to get a 10. And looks like, I was looking at some other videos on YouTube here that people have posted, and some people have gotten this card at the National for like a 10 mint, a 10 gem copy of it for about 175, 180-ish. So the dealer that I happened to be at was a little high, obviously very high. At $250 is what he had it listed for. He had a few copies of it too. It's like he had this one and a couple others. So I thought maybe I could give this guy, work a deal with him. He was not willing to budge much. I got him down to $225. Again, he listed at $250. I offered $200, and he would not take it. So now I didn't start walking away. Maybe I should have, and maybe he would have said I'll take $2 for it. But I just really wanted this card, so I did pay $225 for it. Now what I did was when I got back to the hotel, I scratched off the first sticker he had on it, and I uncovered what he had the card listed at originally, $350. So, which to me is outrageously high. Clearly he found that out pretty quick. So he moved it down he dropped it $100, but he still was high on it. But bottom line is I now have my own copy of it. I'll be taking this, the stickers on on the what do you call it, the bag, the protector. So that was that. Then I didn't go low to high, obviously. Then I looked at this one here. I used to have a Jerry Rice rookie back when I was a kid. I was like 13, 14 when I had the 86, some 86 cards that I opened back then. I had used to open packs of 86 tops, and I know I had a Jerry Rice, but either my mom threw it out or whatever. I was a kid and just lost it or what have you. So anyway, this is a 6, and to me, you guy had 55 on it. By the way, I did the same thing. Peeled back, and at one time he had, might be hard for you to tell, it's very faint. You see that? He had 75, before he dropped it $20. So, the way I look at it, I ended up buying this for $40, 40 that is. So the way I look at it, potentially got a $75 card for almost half off. If you look at it, let's take it out of the bag here. To me, this is a pretty nice. Everybody knows, if you're familiar with a set, how hard it is to get a centered copy of it. So, not that this is perfectly centered, it's not, but it's pretty close. And some of these 86, cards are just all over the place, top to bottom, left to right. I mean, like 80-20. That's how bad they are. In a lot of cases, they're just way off. And then, of course, you have the green borders, which makes it very difficult to keep them in mint condition. Very condition sensitive, and these are older cards, and they weren't the very hard cardboard, so very prone to chipping and rounded corners and all that, which this one does have. So that's why it's a 6. I'll give you guys try to give you a closer look at it. You'll see in the upper right corner here. Come on, focus. I don't know if you can see that. So the upper right-hand corner's got a little bit of, a little white up there. The edge is pretty clean on the top, and then it's got a little bit of a rounded white edge there. Down the sides, not too bad. I mean, the edges weren't too bad on this one. The bottom had some, again, a little bit of a white corner there. And at the very bottom of the card is a little bit of edging, a little bit of some chips there. But overall, to me, there's a little brown spot there, little edging. To me, this looked better than a 6. So, eye appeal is big. They always say buy the card, not the grade, and this is a perfect example of that. Like, to me, this looks like a better than a 6. So, not that I'm going to crack it out or anything, but I just thought it's a pretty decent copy for a reasonable price to get a Jerry Rice rookie card. So, so there you go. Let me know your thoughts on that, by the way, in the feedback. So let me know if you think that is a 6, or I'm going to cover the last card because that's basically my grail card for the trip. Actually, there's a couple of them, and the next one's coming up here. So I've been in the market for a while, really since the Super Bowl and a little before the Super Bowl, trying to get a Jamar Chase on card autograph at a reasonable price. Now, obviously, I called it last year. I said this guy was the best player in the draft. I knew it. And I knew he was going to, and he's probably already arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL. I mean, you can make an argument for it already. So, I knew I was going to get Jamar Chase cheap. And honestly, not that I visited every single table. The freaking National is so damn big. I was there for 4 days. Again, I waited in line for a lot of it. But, not a lot of it, but a good portion. I was always waiting in line for the autographs, every day. So I didn't have a chance to get to every dealer table. But I didn't see a lot of Jamar Chase stuff on the tables. I did not. So I don't know if the dealers are holding on to him. I really did not see much of his stuff out at all. So again, if you're at the National and you're watching this video, let me know if you saw, if I'm right about that. Did you see some Jamal Chases and I just didn't get to those tables that had them? Anyway, I came across this one. Immediately, I was like, oh man, 2 things I really loved about it. It's graded at 9.5, and with Beckett 9.5, as you know, it's gem mint. Okay, you can see that. Friggin' thing camera won't focus. And the second most important thing to me was the on-card autograph. and the fact that it's serial numbered. So all those three things is very important when you're looking to spend a decent chunk of money on the card. So the dealer had this out there for $500, and I offered him $400, and he took $425. So I'm hearing a lot of, I'm watching a lot of videos from collectors that I respect on YouTube, and a lot of them are saying that the dealers, were high and weren't willing to work with, with potential buyers now and traders and all that kind of thing. Now, I didn't do a lot of it. Like I said, I wish I had more time to do wheeling and dealing and buying, because I had to keep waiting in these autograph lines for hours. It took me a lot of time away. But my point is, when I worked with this guy and I got him down. Now, maybe some of these deals are trying to get things at half off, and that's why, and maybe the dealers weren't willing to go that low. For me, I mean, I've been on both sides of the table. I'm a dealer as well. I set up at shows, and I'm a dealer, and I sell. So I'm always looking for fair deals. I'm not looking to. I did kind of lowball the Alonzo, but I mean, $40 I thought was still relatively a fair offer. It's not like it's crazy. So I went down $100 in this one and offered him for $100, and he immediately went down to $425, and we agreed on that. So I got this for $425. Again, gentleman copy of Jamar Chase. This is an encased rookie endorsements. So, I love how it's serial numbered. Obviously it has him in his Bengals uniform, the rookie insignia, on-card autograph. I mean, it's got basically everything that I'm looking for in a nice, already graded. So I don't have to worry about, paying to get it graded as well. So you always factor that into what I pay for the card also. So $425 on this one. And last but not least, this is the big one. And I'm going to show you, I can't show you, unfortunately, because I don't have the cards anymore. But right now, before I show you the card that I got, I'm going to let you know what I did in the trade. The only big trade that I made, and it was actually the only trade offer I did. I brought my stuff the last 2 days, because the first 2 days I knew I'd be waiting in line. I knew I had the last couple of days that I'd be there to do any, potential trading with my stuff. If there was a card that I wanted that I knew maybe not enough cash for, and I was willing to let some stuff go with it. And that happened on my final day. And I was getting frustrated because this card I was looking for, I couldn't find. And I went to, like I said, I didn't hit every dealer table, but I probably saw, well over 100 dealer tables there. And I didn't find the card at all. And I knew it was there because, basically every card's going to be the National. But I wasn't finding it. And then in between, I did have a VIP pass, and I was sitting in the VIP lounge, and I was talking to a couple of guys that, I was just chatting with. And I told him about the card I was looking for, and he's like, "Oh yeah, man, there was a guy that had it, in that first row all the way down in the end," and which is kind of ironic because I was all the way down in the end most of the first couple of days because that's where the TriStar autograph booths were, and most of those tables I had looked over except for that first aisle that this guy was talking about, of course, right? So he's like, "Yeah, just kind of go down," because I told him, I said, "Well, I'll go see if maybe he's got another copy of it." Or if it's still there, rather. And so I actually did. I went right after that meeting in the VIP. I went back into the card floor and found the dealer. And he said, yeah, he actually had 2 of them, and he sold them yesterday. So I'm like, son of a, damn it. I mean, it's like if I just looked at. I think the reason why I didn't go to those tables, as I was thinking back, is they were like, it was so packed those first 2 days. That it was probably just super packed, and the fact that it was on the very edge of the floor, I just didn't get to it. I just didn't get to those front row tables there. I was kind of more on the inside than the outside tables, and so knowing my luck, I could have got the card for well less than what I ended up paying for it, and I'll explain that in a minute. But let me, I'm going to tell you what I gave up, and then I'd be interested in your feedback on here. If I gave up too much, or I think you got a good deal, and kind of I would be appreciating anybody's feedback if you weigh in on this one. Let me tell you what I gave up. So in trade, and this was a trade and cash deal. In trade, I gave up, and I don't have, unfortunately, I didn't write down the exact card and make and all that. I'll just tell you what they are and what the approximate value is that we agreed on. I had a Vladimir Guerrero jersey rookie card. It wasn't one of the really high-end ones. It was about $125, $150 in value. And And I got a lot of Guerrero Jr. stuff, so I was willing to part with that one. But that was one that I gave up in the deal. I had a Terry Bradshaw Encased National Treasures autograph that I had valued at $200. At least that's what I was selling it for. And I know the last time I kind of looked at comps, it was right around there. But unfortunately for me, that same card, or at least a card that had the same limited number, because I can't remember if it was out of 50 or out of 10, I can't remember. It was pretty rare auto. Had sold recently on eBay for like $79, something like that. So I was like, damn it. So the timing of that did not work out too well for me. So what I had valued at $200, he was only going to give me $80 in trade value for it. So, I mean, he actually did offer. He said, look, if you want to pull this one out of the deal, you can, because, you know, I'm not just, he goes, you probably could get more for it, but he says he's only willing to give me $80 in value for it. So to be fair, he wasn't trying to pull one over on me. He was a very transparent dealer, and I appreciated that. And I said, I knew I had to give up a lot to get my dollar to what I had to pay for it out of pocket, so I included it in the deal, and he ended up giving me a real good deal on that card. I gave him a Dak Prescott. Gave up a Dak Prescott Contenders rookie auto that I actually pulled out of a pack back in 2016. It's in really good shape. It got an that's when I sent it to HGA, and I got a 9 on it. So, and quite honestly, even though HGA I think is one of the harder graders out there, it probably would get no more than. It wasn't a 10 copy. There's a little shade of an edge whiteness, very very small but definitely noticeable. That's on the card, and so there's no way I know that the card would not get a 10. So I figured I had between $400 and $500 value on that, and he agreed. So you know I got that pretty much about a $450 value for that card. So I gave that one up. The biggest one that I did not want to let go that I ended up including in the deal, because this one could really come back and sting me, is I had a Adrian Peterson Topps Chrome White refractor, and this thing was pretty much gem. It was maybe a niche off center, otherwise no refractor lines, beautiful shine, sharp corners, no edging issues. The thing could very well get a 10. If it does, the dealer definitely made off. That was one I was thinking about sending in, but I never did, and I was probably going to send it into my next batch. But needless to say, I don't have it anymore. That card, we kind of recognize value be around $200 to $300 raw, ungraded, with the potential to be $500 plus. If it gets a 10, it's a $1,000 plus card. But I won't ever know if it's what it's going to grade at. But I included it into the deal. I also gave up a Najee Harris Contenders rookie out of 45. It was the short print, serial numbered out of 45 out of this most recent Contenders football. I had it again about a $200 value on it, and that again had a recent sale in like the $80 range. So he was only willing to give me 80 versus the 200 that I value the card at. So, but it's in trade value. I understand where the deal is coming from. So. I was willing to let that one go, and I did. I also gave him a Frank Gore Spectra auto out of this most recent year Spectra. I had that one, at like 75, but as a dealer, I would have let that sell for around 50, and the value that he wanted on that card was $40. So I gave him, I agreed to that as well. And then I also gave him a Peyton Manning Topps Chrome rookie raw. Which is in perfect shape. I mean, sharp corners, it's a beautiful card. The only thing is it's way off center. It's probably 70-30, 65-35 in terms of centering. So definitely I knew never would get a 10. Maybe get if he gets a nice grader, maybe he'd get a 9 on it, but I would guess it'd probably be an 8.5, somewhere around there. 8 to 8.5. So, we kind of put that around $100 in value. So those are the cards. Guerrero rookie auto, Terry Bradshaw National Treasures auto, Dak Prescott Contenders rookie auto, which was an HGA 9, the Topps Chrome White refractor Adrian Peterson, which is the one that I probably am, out of all the cards, the one that I really would rather have not given up in the deal, but I did. The Najee Harris Contenders rookie out of 49 auto, Frank Gore Spectra auto, and the Peyton Manning Topps Chrome raw. Oh, the one card I'm missing on here. I also gave him a Derrick Henry rookie on card autograph, and I think that was out of like Immaculate or something like that. That card I bought a couple years ago. Probably spent 200 something on it, I think, and we had that around a $200 value. So that was also given up in trade. And I also paid $740 in cash. All right, so all those cards I just told you, and $740 in cash. Now, thanks for all tuning in and waiting a half hour for me to give you this reveal. The card that I did all that for was the Pat Tillman Downtown. Now, I did not want to come away with a graded version of this card. I was just wanted to buy it raw, and it would have cost me around $925, $950 raw. Because I know that, because the dealer that I went, remember I mentioned how I found out that he had just sold the cards the day before. I asked him how much he sold them for, and he said $925 or $950. So I know that that's what I would have had to pay out of pocket, or I could have done, potentially a trade deal with him. I don't know about if that deal was willing to trade or not. This guy, by the way, when I first went to his table, and here's the thing, I was about to leave the National. It was my last day there, which was Saturday. I was in line all day on that day, because that was Cunningham, Montana, and Bo Jackson. And Bo Jackson was like an hour and a half late. So I stood in line from like 10:30 in the morning to about 4:30. I was standing all day, not searching cards. I was just in autograph lines. So, and the show was wrapping up. It closed at 6, right? So I was just kind of looking around for this card, seeing maybe I'll find it. But and then I happened to find the card. I was like, oh my God, there it is. Well, fortunately and unfortunately, I found the card, yes, but it was a Gem Mint 10 copy of it, which is great. But what comes with that is, instead of a $900 price tag, it was $2,000. So, like I said, I had about $750 in my cash on me, and I asked the dealer. I said, would you be willing to, well, actually, I was about to ask him, and there was some other guy that was up there just had asked him if he was willing to trade. And the dealer said, no, he's not really interested in trading today, is what he said. So I was like, shoot. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to have a chance now. So once that guy kind of, made his way over to me, well, I mean, he was done with the other customer, potential customer, I asked him, I said, listen, I heard you just say you weren't willing to trade, but I'm interested in the Pat Tillman Downtown. And I basically, before I asked him about the trade, I said, what's the best you could do on that? And he said that he had turned down an offer about an hour prior to me getting there for $1,600. So he said he would be willing to let it go to me for $1,700. So I got him down to $1,700. Obviously, still about $1,000 over what I had and what I was kind of willing to pay for it. So I asked him then. I said, well, I have my cards with me. Would you be willing to take a look at my stuff? And he said sure. So, and I had some pretty good stuff on it. I mean, I just told you what I had. He was only really interested in football and anything that he could move, and he basically took all of the best cards that I had. I actually did have a LaDainian Tomlinson Contenders autograph that he wanted also. He gave me two options: the one that I took, or if I included the LaDainian Tomlinson Contenders autograph, he would have taken all of those cards and then 200. I think he said 200 or 250 in cash. Now, I didn't want to part with that Tomlinson, so obviously I took the other option, gave him 740 in cash. And those cards that I just rattled off to you. But this was the card that I was hoping to come home with, and I did. I wasn't looking for a PSA 10 of it, but to me it was almost like, what are the odds that I was looking for this card for the first 3 days and I couldn't find it, not even a raw copy, and then the last day that I was there with about an hour left to go in the show, I happened to go and find it at the table. So it was almost like, Jeff, here it is. You kind of spoken into existence, and here's your chance. And so, with all that said, I probably gave away too much in trade. I don't know. I mean, you guys tell me. I'm kind of curious. I wish I could give you photos of the cards that I gave away and didn't take pictures of it or anything. But I just rattled it off to you. So I gave him about $1,200 to $1,300 in trade value, potentially more. Like if that Topps Chrome Peterson grades out at a 10, then that could be $1,000 plus card, easy. And it has a chance to do that. It's a little off center. So, but I know PSA doesn't matter. So a lot of times PSA will still give you a 10 if it's off center. Which ironically, look at this card. They did with this one. This one's off center. I just noticed that it's right to left. Look at that. And they gave it a 10. So, perfect example. I didn't even really look at the card that closely until just now to see that it is off center. But that Topps Chrome Peterson could very well get a 10, and that's the reason why I didn't want to let it go. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on that. Overall, the National was a pretty amazing experience. Everything you hear about it being as crowded as it is, absolutely was. I mean, it was as big as this place is, and the floor in Atlantic City is gigantic. A lot of room, and even as much room as it is, I can only imagine if it's in a tighter spot like Chicago. Apparently, it's not nearly as big as Atlantic City's. And there was no room. I mean, it was literally at times shoulder to shoulder room in this place for a lot of Wednesday, Thursday especially, and Friday especially, and then it kind of tapered off a little bit on Saturday, but huge crowds. So anyway, the Pat Tillman story. But for anyone that's still with me here, because I know I'm kind of rambling on. If anyone who doesn't know about the Pat Tillman story, look it up. And if you have, the NFL Network or Game Pass or whatever for the NFL, check it out, because look up for Football Life. They do those Football Life chronologies, documentaries. Look up and watch the one that talks about Pat Tillman and learn the story of this guy and what he did, giving up his NFL career to go and fight in the Gulf War for a country. The guy was in his prime in the NFL and left to go fight for his country, and then tragically was shot and killed by friendly fire even. So it's really just a American hero, tragic story, and that's what makes this card so sought after in the industry, in the hobby. And I'm now glad that this is part of my personal collection. So thanks for watching. I know this video for only a handful of cards here was almost 40 minutes long, but thanks for sticking with me. I know a lot of at least what I like to hear in the hobby are stories, and so I like to give the reasons why this was an important card for me to get my hands on. So thanks again for watching, and please subscribe and when you get a chance, as I do live breaks, and I share some of my personal stories and collection with you, the audience. So I appreciate it if you give me a sub. Thanks again. This is Ruckscards, and if you guys have any stories about your experience at the National, I'd love to hear them. So put them down in the comments. Appreciate it, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Take care.